I want to welcome you all to our presentation on Cash for College. My name is Tequila Barnes Hall. I am your regional representative for College Foundation of North Carolina. I do want to let you know we have several community partners that have worked collaboratively to make sure that this event is possible. So we do have our Carolina College Advisors, Guilford County Schools, Guilford Parent Academy, Say Yes Guilford, and of course, College Foundation of North Carolina. So I want to just go over a few housekeeping rules before we get started. First of all, please make sure you mute yourself if you have not already so that we all have a quality experience. And of course, make sure that um, you follow proper, I guess you say, webinar etiquette. So we do not want to have to excuse anyone from the webinar because of inappropriate behavior. But I know everybody's going to be on the best behavior tonight, so we're not going to have to worry about that. We will hold I guess you say, a formal Q&A at the very end. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. We have several people who will be looking at your questions and responding. And then again, we'll have our formal Q&A at the very end. So again, thank you so much for joining. And I want to introduce our guest presenters tonight. So we do have Sharon Patterson as well as Chandalyn Boyd from North Carolina A&T State University. And so let's just give them a really big wow welcome. Aggie Pride, I'm so excited to have them here tonight. And they're going to give you guys some amazing information on how to be prepared. So our presentation for Cash for College. Thank you so much. And Ms. Patterson, we're ready whenever you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ms. Patterson. I bring greetings from the director, Mrs. Sherry Avent. What is financial aid? Financial aid assistance helps cover educational costs. That's tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, personal expenses, and transportation. Your financial aid package may include grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. The first thing to do to apply for financial aid is to complete a free application for student aid. The website is studentaid.gov, and A&T's Title IV school code is 002905. You must create a FSA username and password to e-sign your FAFSA. The parent must have an FSA ID and the student must have an FSA ID. Once you get your FSA ID, you may have access to complete the FAFSA, and the FAFSA is free. And you may also monitor your federal aid through the National Student Loan Database System. You will need your 2019 tax information, and we ask that both parent and student use the IRS data retrieval tool when completing your FAFSA. Types of financial aid: there's gift aid, which is scholarships. They may be academic or merit, institutional, athletic, outside or external, Then there's grants, that's free money. There's federal grants and there's state grants. There's self-help. Self-help include loans. Loans from the federal government include subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans, parent plus loans. Payment usually begins after graduation, and we ask that you only borrow what you need. Subsidized loans, the federal government pays the interest on the loan while you're in school. Unsubsidized loans, the federal government asks you to pay the interest on the loan while you're in school. Then with work study, it's just a program where the financial aid office places students on campus to help them earn money for their educational cost. And the student does get a paycheck, just like they're having a regular job outside of the university. Loan types and amounts. There's two types of federal loans. We just discussed subsidized and unsubsidized. Subsidized, where the federal government pays the interest while you're in school. Unsubsidized, you're responsible for paying the interest during your enrollment in the university. And loan amounts are based on your grade level. So if you have less than 30 credits, you're considered a freshman and you can only borrow $5,500. Less than 60 credits, you're considered a sophomore and you can only borrow $6,500. If you've earned 60 or more credits, you're considered a junior or senior, and you may borrow $7,500. Student must enroll at least half-time to receive federal aid, and there will be some documents for you to complete online, an entrance counseling tutorial, which just tells you what your rights and responsibilities are for borrowing money from the federal government. And we ask you to sign a master promissory note where you promise to pay the federal government the loans back after graduation. If a parent is interested in borrowing a Parent Plus loan, the plus loan stands for Parent Loan for Undergraduate Students. So the parents would have to go online to the federal government's website, studentaid.gov, to apply. That portal opens June 1st for the 21-22 academic school year. The federal government will perform a credit check on the parent. The school will be notified of the decision as well as the parent. If the parent is denied the Parent Plus loan by the Department of Ed based on adverse credit, the student may receive an additional up to $4,000 in unsubsidized loan monies only. Gift aid, we said, was scholarships and grants. That's money that doesn't have to be paid back. An example is like the federal Pell Grant that doesn't have to be paid back. Awards based on merit scholarships, skill, or unique characteristics. Sometimes sometimes merit scholarships are awarded based on financial need. No, I'm sorry. Sometimes gift aid is based on financial need. And we asked if you're receiving scholarships from an outside agency to send a copy of the notification letter to the Office of Student Financial Aid. Other funding to consider. Other places to look for additional monies to fund your education. As veteran benefits, check with have your parents check with their local VA office to see if they're military or ex-military, to see if the student is eligible for any VA benefits based on the parent's military history. Check with vocational rehabilitation programs. The Parent Plus loan, we just discussed that. And alternative loans, we ask that you use that as a last resort. They're private loans that the student has to apply for, and it's based on the student credit history. So if the student has no credit, they'd have to get someone to co-sign for them. And then lastly, parents can also get set up on the payment plan with the university. The payment plan is where you pay the first payment down, and then you'd be set on monthly payment plans, usually 4 or 5 months for that semester. And you get set up on the payment plan per semester. Also look for private sources of funding. Check with foundation, businesses, charitable organizations, and churches in your community. Pay attention to deadlines on your application. Begin your private search for scholarships early. Check with your parents to see if their employers offer scholarships to their employees' children. And even if students work, they can check with their job to see if their job offers scholarships to their employees. Scholarship search engines, there's FastWeb, there's College Foundation of North Carolina. Check on A&T's website, ncat.edu. Search for scholarships, United Negro College Fund, and Thurgood Marshall College Funds. They're like umbrellas that have other scholarships underneath their banner. I'd like to say about scholarships, any scholarships that you see on A&T's website is legit. So please be careful searching for scholarships. Make sure it's a legit website before you put your information in there. So financial aid reminders, please apply early. The 21-22 FAFSA is available. It's still not too late. Read all the information that's sent to you from our office or any office. Respond to our request in a timely manner. Keep a financial aid record or file. Keep copies of any documents that you send to the school, and be mindful of important dates and deadlines. The Office of Student Financial Aid is located in the Dowdy Building. That's room 100 on A&T's campus. Office hours from 8 to 5 daily. Currently, our website's ncat.edu. Our email address is finaid@ncat.edu, and that's our phone number at the bottom, 336-334-7973. Currently, we're teleworking from home, so we do not have office hours, but we do have virtual lobby links. So if you'd like to reach anyone at A&T, we have virtual lobby links. We have one for the scholarship, one for the loan area, and one for the financial aid counselors that you may, I'm sorry, next screen, please, that you may contact us Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 daily. And these are our virtual lobby links. We'd like to thank you all for listening to our presentation. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and we'll be glad to answer. Thank you so much, and you all have a good evening.
And so, Ms. Patterson, while we're waiting for people to put in their specific questions in the chat, would you and Ms. Boyd like to talk about some of the frequently asked questions that you guys receive about scholarships, or frequent questions that parents may have about financial aid? So we have people who have children maybe who are about to go to college in the fall, those who may be rising juniors, and some that might be younger than senior year. Do you have any helpful tips that you'd like to share?
Yes, I would. Please search for scholarships. Please search for scholarships. And if you would please do your resume before you graduate. Before you graduate high school, start working on your resume so that when it comes time for you to complete scholarship applications, it will not be overwhelming to you, because you would have a list of what you've done your whole time in high school, and you can just pull that right out and fill the application out with no problem at all.
And I know that we have some families that may have already done their FAFSA, and I did hear you say in your presentation that it's not too late. It's not too late. So for those individuals who have not completed FAFSA, of course, seniors, the time has been as early as October 1 that they could have done their FAFSA. So I know some of the families might be younger than senior year. Is what can junior families do to be prepared for next year for completing their FAFSA?
The FAFSA opens October the 1st of every year. So those who are coming in the fall for 21-22, the portal is open. If you're coming for 22-23 to college, that portal will open October 1 of 2021. So feel free to go on there and complete the FAFSA. Now, this year's FAFSA is using tax information. If you're coming 2022 academic school year, we're going to be using tax information for tax year 2020. Nope, I'm sorry. We're using 2019 tax information. So when you fill out your FAFSA for 22-23, you're going to be using 2020 tax information. So just be careful when you fill out the FAFSA that you're putting in the correct tax year information on there. And the FAFSA is very, very specific about what tax year you are to use. That's why we ask for parents, if they use the IRS data retrieval tool, that's where you give FAFSA permission to log into the IRS portal to transmit your tax documents directly onto the FAFSA. It's a real simple process, and it's less time consuming than parents typing things in where they might make an error.
Ms. Patterson, what if we do have senior families on right now, what should they be expecting to receive in order to know the type of financial aid they're getting from a college as far as their financial aid offer?
Oh, we cannot determine your financial aid offer until we have your FAFSA. We must check to see if you were selected for verification by the Department of Ed. If you were selected for verification by the Department of Ed, then the school would have to ask for tax documents to confirm that the information on the FAFSA is correct. And then an award letter would be generated. Now, every student is eligible for a federal direct loan. If it's your first year in college, you're eligible for a federal direct loan. But the information on your FAFSA determines whether or not you're eligible for the federal Pell Grant.
And can you also talk about, we may have some parents who have not been through this process. And when we talk about financial offer or financial aid award, how would they get that? Can you talk about that? How would a parent know what they're getting from a college?
Oh, once you complete the FAFSA and it's reviewed by the Student Financial Aid Office, an award letter or packet will be generated. That would be, the student would be notified by email to go online and look at his award, and then a paper award letter would be sent to the student like 2 weeks later.
And I know that we have families that may have multiple kids going to college. Can you talk about what they need to do if they have two students who will be going to college in regards to like the FAFSA application?
Okay, you still need to fill out the FAFSA for each student. Even if you have more than one going to college, please complete the FAFSA for each student.
Right.
Now, just because you have two students going to college doesn't mean the FAFSA is going to be equal. It'll be equal as far as the parents' information is concerned. That'll be the same, but one student might work and one might not. So the FAFSA results might be different. The estimated family contribution might be different. Because the FAFSA, the free application for student aid, is based on parental information, student information, number in college, number in the household. The federal government takes all that into consideration before they can determine what the student is eligible to receive.
And as far as the FAFSA form, do students do it one time for all 2 years or 4 years you're in college, Ms. Patterson? Or how do they need to go about the process if they want to be considered for aid every year?
Okay, each student has to complete their FAFSA every year.
Now, what if a parent is declined for a Parent Plus loan?
If a parent,
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
yeah, if a parent is declined for a Parent Plus loan, the school would automatically offer the student up to $4,000 in additional loan monies in unsubsidized loans only. Unsubsidized, now that's the loan where the student is responsible for paying the interest while they're in school. The federal government gives the student two options for paying the interest. Number one, you can pay the interest when they send you the bill quarterly, and that would keep your principal balance the same. Or you can decide not to pay the interest while you're in school, and that would mean that your principal balance would increase quarterly by the amount of the interest. So interest will accrue if you don't pay it when you receive the bill.
And when should juniors start to apply for scholarships?
Juniors should start to apply for scholarships now. It doesn't hurt to log on to the scholarship to see what they're requesting. They might not be able to submit it because they might be asking for the final GPA or something like that. But they should go online, search through the scholarships, see if this is something that they're interested in, and just look at the format so that when they do get to be a senior and they can apply for that scholarship, it will be so much easier for them.
Now, for scholarships, can a family assume that if a student gets a scholarship one year, that they'll get it each year?
No, they cannot assume that.
Okay, so
If it's a merit scholarship and you get it your freshman year, there's no guarantee you're going to get it your second year. Any scholarships that come from the university, unless you have a renewal scholarship, like a full ride scholarship, like the Dowdy, like the Cheatham White. Unless you have a full ride scholarship, they're normally the only ones that's renewable.
and when you say full ride, Ms. Patterson, can you clarify that? Because does full ride mean that it covers everything or only covers some things?
You'd have to look and see what it covers, but normally it covers tuition and fees, room and board. If they do cover books and any other personal expenses, you have to look at the scholarship. And those full ride scholarships are on A&T's website. If you were junior, I ask that you go out there and look and see what the requirements are for A&T's full ride scholarships. Each one differs from the other, but now is the time to look, because if you're a junior and the deadline is normally in December of, for example, if you are a junior right now, coming up on your senior year in the fall, the full ride scholarships would be due, the application would be due December 2021, even though you're not coming until 22. You're coming fall 22. The full ride scholarships must be completed by December of 2021. Scholarships are very, very competitive. So we ask that students apply early, apply often for scholarships, and apply early. A&T also has endowment scholarships. Now, the endowment scholarships doesn't open until February. They open February of this year, and they close March 15th. They open on time and they close on time. So please check A&T's website for scholarships, the different types of scholarships, find out when they open and what the closing deadlines are.
And I know we've talked a little bit about FAFSA, um, but are there any, I know A&T has a certain process, but are there other scholarship applications that families may have to complete depending on the institution they're attending?
The federal student aid, the FAFSA, is the only application that A&T uses to determine student federal aid eligibility, financial aid eligibility. And like I say, it's studentaid.gov. It's a real simple application and it's free. So if you happen to log on to the wrong website, to a .com, then it's the wrong website. They will ask you to pay. But the federal government's website is free, studentaid.gov, G-O-V is in government.
And we have another question. If a parent doesn't want to apply for a Parent Plus loan, can the student get additional aid or loans?
The student may not receive any additional loans or aid unless the parent applies for the Parent Plus loan. If the parent has mitigating circumstances, such as they are in default or other mitigating circumstances, they may contact our loan supervisor. Her name is Mrs. Stephanie Lynch, and I believe we're going to put that in the chat for you. So if a parent has any qualms about applying for a loan, they can always contact Mrs. Stephanie Lynch at the Student Financial Aid Office and discuss it with her.
And of course, if there's another institution that a student's receiving, then of course they would contact the financial aid office of that particular institution. And let's
Yes, ma'am.
see. Can you talk a little bit? We talked a little bit about FSAID, the Federal Student Aid ID. Can you explain what needs to happen? Is it only the student who needs the FSAID, or does a parent need to have a FSAID? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Okay, I'm gonna let my colleague, Ms. Boyd, talk about FSAID.
Okay, hi. As far as with the FSAID, that is the parent and the student will need to have one. That is their login for the FAFSA. And that is also how they will sign the FAFSA when it's at the end. That's how they do their signature. Also, speaking about the Parent Plus loans, if the parent decides to do the Parent Plus loan, they will go to studentaid.gov and they will have to sign in with their own personal FSA ID. So yes, it is important and for both parent and student to have their own FSA ID to complete the FAFSA and Parent Plus loan if need be.
Okay. And Ms. Boyd, if I'm a parent and I already, um, I was in school or I already have another child that was in school, do I need to create a new FSAID?
No, the FSA ID is good for that one time for you because that's like your personal ID. That's how you identify yourself. So if you have that already, that's the only one you would need. So
And
that's
we have
just
a,
like your signature.
we have another question too, Ms. Boyd. Do both parents need to complete the FSAID?
No, it can just be one. You don't have to have both, but just at least one parent can have the FSA ID.
Trying to see. Let's see. We have another message. What can the student do if a parent is undocumented and cannot apply for loans?
They are,
Um,
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, Miss Pierce, so you're kind of more of the expert on that one.
Okay. All right, like I say, if a parent has any mitigating situations where they feel like they cannot apply for a Parent Plus loan for their child, they are to contact the loan supervisor in the Student Financial Aid Office and have a conversation with them.
Let's see. Trying to see if we have any other questions in the chat here. Um, so, what is the interest on the Parent Plus loan, and when does the parent need to start paying back the loan?
Okay. The interest rate on the Parent Plus loan is currently, 5.3%. Parents start making payments on the Parent Plus loan while the child is in school. After, most parents apply for a Parent Plus loan for fall and spring semester. So after the fall disbursement of the Parent Plus loan occurs, the parent will be notified by the federal government that X number of dollars has been dispersed to the school in the form of a loan, in the form of a Parent Plus loan, and now it's time for you to start making payments. So the U.S. Department of Ed will contact the parent after the first disbursement of the Parent Plus loan has been sent to the school. If the parent feels like they cannot make payments on the Parent Plus loan while the child is in school, it is the parent's responsibility to contact the Department of Ed and have a conversation with them about what can be done. It's called deferment. If the parent would like to have their loan, the Parent Plus loan, deferred until after the student graduates, they would have to get permission from the Department of Ed.
Do you have any advice for students who want to attend an out-of-state university in terms of applying for scholarships?
In my opinion, from experience from working here so far, I would say, of course, plan early because out of state is pretty much like twice the price for in-state, so it is more expensive. To me, I think the key is have a financial plan and plan early. Look for scholarships early. I would say if you have a school in mind, out of state, I would contact that school, visit their website to see what scholarships they have to offer, or if they have any other type of some type of other type of funding, university funding that they offer. But in my opinion, plan early, start looking at scholarships, and definitely start looking at the school of choice at their websites, and get in contact with someone in their financial aid office as well. So that way you'll know more of, what they have to offer as far as funding, as university funding and scholarships. But to me, the key is start now, start early, because it is more expensive.
Thank you. What's the best way to ask for more money after getting your financial aid award letter if the financial circumstances have changed since 2020?
Well, I know for us, we have an appeal called the special circumstance appeal. If your financial status is different now than it was when you, let's say we're doing 2019 taxes now. So if you have like a significant decrease in your income due to, like medical expenses or, job loss or anything like that, you are able to do, with us at least, to do file a special circumstance appeal.
Okay. Let's see, we have a few more questions I see here in the chat. What is the term of the loan? How many years to pay back?
For the Parent Plus loan, I'm not sure. When you receive your information from the Department of Ed that you now have a loan, that would they would tell you what the payments would be and how many years, whether or not you get to choose your payment plan. But what I would do is go online and to the federal government's website and Google Parent Plus, and I'm pretty sure that information will be there. And I'm sorry, I just don't have it tonight.
So I don't know if they meant plus or for just direct loans, but typically the standard repayment term is going to be 10 years. But however, what Ms. Patterson is saying is that that's the default repayment plan. However, there may be some other, payment or repayment options that are available. And so you definitely want to talk to your loan servicer to find out what other options are available that might meet your needs. So if you don't choose anything from your loan servicer, the standard repayment, which is 10 years, is the default unless you choose another type of repayment. So I wasn't sure if you guys were talking about plus or direct, but either one, the standard repayment is 10 years, and unless you choose another repayment plan. And like she said, your loan servicer will be in contact with you to give you more information about your repayment plan, as well as how much you'll actually have to repay. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Let's see. Oh, there's another question. Does the school offer interest-free loans?
No, not to my knowledge. We don't. The federal aid is what we utilize, and typically if you use the federal loans, the interest rate is lower than, if you get an alternative loan like a Sallie Mae, but we do not have any interest-free loans.
You guys have some great questions. Keep them coming. They are really good. Great questions.
Yes, they do.
So from our other community partners, are there any questions that I am missing?
I had a question about payment plans for people who want to pay out of pocket. Do you have options for those?
Yes, with us, you would go through our treasurer's office and set those up, or you can set it up online, but the payment plans are through our treasurer's office. Typically, I think it's whatever your balance is split up between, I think, 5 or 4 months, but you can speak with our treasurer's office to get more detail, but that we do have that option.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any more questions. Like I said, you guys have been actually putting in some great questions.
And I'd like to say just one more thing, Ms. Hall.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, I'd like to say, when you're searching for scholarships, check with the department at your school. Whatever your discipline is going to be, whatever you're going to be majoring in, check with that department to see if they have any scholarships for incoming students, for incoming freshmen, or incoming transfer students. That's another source.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. Are there any other questions, guys? Please drop them in the chat so we have a little bit more time. So if you have any other questions that you want to ask our experts while we have them. All right. So what we're going to do now, oh, here's another one. Do you have to get an FSA ID every year?
No, you do not. When you create one the first time, please make sure you write it down, keep it in a safe space, because you'll be using that each year you do the FAFSA.
Great. And so these are, like I said, these are really good questions. Advisors, community partners, do you have any other questions that will be beneficial for the group before Warshay talks to us about some other things that are be happening? All right, not hearing any. Ladies, oh, sorry, there is another question. So what happens if a student is in default and not and they have or not paid on time? Can they garnish RS fund refunds, or I guess can their RS refunds be garnished?
That is an option, but we do ask that if you go into default, and some students do, you simply have to call your lender and ask them how to get out of default. Sometimes they have programs where if you just make a minimum payment for 6 to 9 months, you can get yourself out of default.
Yeah,
So
also
please contact your servicer. Please contact your servicer if you're in default on any loans.
Ms. Patterson, is it okay if I add one thing here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just want to let you guys know that you have to, in order to go in default, that means that you have not made payments or you have been delinquent on your account for 270 days. And so what most servicers and lenders are going to do, they're going to try to do everything they can to help you, but you do have to stay in contact with them. So I heard Ms. Patterson, I believe, talk to you about deferments. So definitely talk to your loan servicer to see if you qualify for any type of deferment, or sometimes loan servicers at their discretion can offer you a forbearance. So, so it might be a no pay forbearance, or it could be that you're, making, a relatively small, payment, but make sure you contact your loan servicer, because lots of things can happen. So of course, she did talk to you about, garnishment that can happen. You may not be eligible for any other type of financial aid if you go into default. If you hold a professional license, that can be taken away. Any legal fees or court costs would be yours to pay. So there's a lot of things, of course, that will also impact your credit rating. So of course your loans are being reported every 30 days. So you want to be, very careful about that. So definitely want to let you know that your servicer will work with you as much as they can to make sure you don't enter into default. And that means that you have to understand your rights and responsibilities. So before you would actually get a loan, of course, you do have to go through loan counseling. And of course, once you're about to go into repayment, there's exit counseling so that you understand all the different steps. We want to make sure we keep you out of default.
And I'd like to add a few things as well. I know we're talking about the loans, and part of this session is to hopefully gear you up to know that you can continue to apply for scholarships even before you get to college and while you're in college. Okay, so that's going to help you to cut down on the cost of college, and also good budgeting as well. So we don't want you to think that your loan is the end all be all, okay? Many of you, because you're on this session, you have an opportunity to apply for scholarships, okay? Apply, but also realize that Say Yes Guilford is here for you as well. Since 2016, we provide over $32.5 million in scholarships to students from Guilford County schools to go to college. And since we have representatives from A&T on the line tonight, financial aid, we've provided over $600,000 to our scholars to attend NC A&T State University since 2016. So we want you to know that there are a plethora of community resources, scholarships galore that you can apply for. Please consult with your financial aid offices, as they've said, but also talk to your high school guidance counselor. There are lots of scholarships that students do not apply for simply because it requires an essay. So write, push forward, because there is still time. And of course, you have the loans as an option, but let the loans be a last resort if and at all possible, okay? And yes, Tequila just mentioned CFNC has a great scholarship resource tool. And there are so many websites that you can check out. So please utilize that to your advantage. It's going to help you out in the long run, especially if you are a junior. Take a look at them now. If you are a senior, it may be late, but guess what? It's never too late. You still have an opportunity once you get into college to apply for scholarships.
All right. Before we get into wrapping things up, I want to make sure you guys can get to supper. I want to make sure you're able to do that. But so Ms. Boyd, Ms. Patterson, are there any final thoughts before Warshay wraps us up this evening?
No, I would just say plan early and go ahead and start looking for scholarships and the websites of the schools of choice, and just plan early, stay ahead of the game.
All right. Anything, Ms. Patterson, that you want to add? Okay. Warshay, we're going to let you wrap it up for us and talk about any upcoming things that we may have going on.
All right. Well, again, thank you all. Thank you to Ms. Patterson and Ms. Boye, and of course, Ms. Hall, and to all of our community partners on the line. I see some of you. We want to share with you that, of course, some of you have asked about Say Yes Guilford, so on and so forth. Next Thursday, we're hosting a Say Yes Scholarship Information Session next Thursday at 6 p.m. And that's going to be coming to your chat right now. You can register. Of course, I just share with you about the scholarship program. We're here to support Guilford County School students through college, career, and so on and so forth. So please check us out. Again, we thank you to North Carolina A&T State University, of course, CFNC College Foundation of North Carolina, our phenomenal college advisors that represent 4 wonderful high schools throughout the Guilford County, Guilford Parent Academy, and of course, yours truly, Say Yes Guilford, and our entire team. At this time, are there any questions? I mean, we have time, at least 4 more minutes for you to ask any burning questions. Of course, this is being recorded, and you can check out our YouTube page, which we're going to put in the chat momentarily. I got to find the link, but you can actually view the previously recorded webinars and such, as this will be posted very soon as well. Yes, Desire Spurgeon, she's actually the college advisor at Dudley High School. She just shared the McKnight Rotary Scholarship is available for Guilford County High School students. Consult with your counselor. If you are a high school student on this line, or you are a parent of a high school student, please ensure that you build a positive rapport with your college advisors and with your counselors at your respective schools, because they have the resources for you as well, okay? And check out your individual high school website. Your counselors are posting resources. We have some counselors on the line right now and a few college advisors. They're posting resources all the time, and they would love for your students to participate and respond. So that's it. All right. Anything else you want to add, or anyone? The income, we're going to talk about that next Thursday at the scholarship information session, and we're going to put the actual handout in the link as well. We have a public model and a private model for the Say Yes Scholarship Program. So we thank you for asking about that. All right. Well, are there any last remarks you want to share with us, Ms. Patterson or Ms. Boye or Tequila? Or
I would like to thank everyone for being on the Zoom tonight. Thank you for giving A&T the opportunity to come and speak with you. If you have any questions at all, anything that was unclear tonight, please log on to the virtual lobby link at NCAT and ask us. We'll be glad to help you.